I took a gamble at an auction on this lathe without ever seeing it in person. After it arrived, I'm not sure if I made the right decision. Online, it looked really good, but in person, I'm not so sure. So this is the machine. It's a 16 by 40 gap bed lathe. That's why I wanted it, because it has a gap bed that actually comes out. It's a newer style lathe. I think it's in the year like 2000. It has an Accurite DRO. I think it has an 8 or 10 inch chuck on it. It also has this guard right here that I notice has a safety switch on it, which I'm gonna have to override with a clip or something, or just twist the wires together. One of the reasons I wanted it is because it does do metric and standard threading, which is great. And I changed the spindle speed. It's just a wheel right here. So it seems like it's pretty easy to use. Like, this stuff is grimy and dirty. It looks way more grimy than it did in the pictures at the auction, of course. I've never spent this much money on a manual machine before. And at this point, it looks like I might have spent way too much money on it. So here's the hand wheels for the carriage. It doesn't seem like there's much backlash in it. I mean, you move it this way and that way, and it starts moving. Let's see about this one. Oh man, that one's nice and smooth. There's zero backlash in that one. If I move it, it's moving. Here's a tailstock. Some of the paint is wore away on this. Let's see, does it work? Ugh. Oh yeah, that's nice and smooth right there. It's even oiled. Ugh. Ugh. That is not wanting to slide. But it does have this nut here, so the nut's probably tightened. If I loosen up a little bit, maybe this handle will start working to lock it in, and I won't have to use that nut. We'll see. Or maybe it's a problem. I do see it has the glass scales there for the DRO, so that's good. That means it's still in there. This one here too. Coming around to the back side, here's the back side of the pan. There's what looks like a coolant pump, and I would assume that's not working. Any other wires or anything in there? Just that wire. Here's what appears to be maybe some type of old disintegrated hose or something. That doesn't look too good. It goes in there into the back. And then there's another pump right there. So I don't assume that's the coolant pump. Let's see. It does have a hose that runs into the block there. Maybe that's for oil for the machine. Maybe it oils itself. There are some chips and flakes of paint right here. You can see it's really, really thick too. It's like body work. There's the through spindle. Huh, look at this little sticker right here. I don't know if you guys can make it out. Butler Tech Career DEV. Let me do some research and see what that is. So I did a little bit of digging. That Butler Tech is actually a vocational school where they teach this stuff, which I did not know. So I've heard a lot of times when people try to sell machines and try to make it sound like it's a really good deal, they say it comes out of a school, or CNC machines. A big one is like a dental lab, so it didn't run hard, and 90% of the time they're lying about it, and you get it and it's just completely thunderdomed and it doesn't work right. Everything's just wore out. But that wasn't stated in this machine at all. I just came across that sticker, and it looks like at some point this was in a vocational school. So I guess at this point the next thing to do is get some 3-phase power ran to this thing and see if it even works, see if the DRO comes on, and at that point I'll know if I paid too much, because right now I'm kind of a little bit scared. Like I said, I paid more for this machine than I've paid for some CNC machining center. So I got 3-phase 220 hooked up to it. Let's throw the switch and see what we get. Nothing on there. Let's see if we turn that power on. Still nothing. Power switch on here. Power was off. Press clear. Okay. Clear. Nothing. Okay, so far, not so good. I can't get that thing to clear. At the present time, that's not working. So that totally sucks. I don't know if it's like a CNC machine where it can lose parameters, but it having that Accurite DRO on it was one of the reasons I paid so much money for it. Well, let's move on and see if this thing will turn on. I guess pop that out. Is this the start button? Oh, I hear something. Okay. It sounds like it's spinning, but it's not in gear. It is not looking good at all. So far, the DRO doesn't work. The spindle doesn't come on. Man, this might be one of my biggest losses yet. I figured out how to get the chuck to come on, and I don't think it's very good. So what you do is you turn it on, everything comes on, And then you have to have these gear ranges set up with these gear ranges here. And then whatever speed you want it to be at, you match up these little diamonds with the colors, with the inside wheel. So now, for instance, we're at 260 RPM. Comes on, sounds pretty good. I don't think there's any oil inside of it, because come to find out, that thing down below is actually an automatic oiler that shoots oil up in there, so I don't want to run it too much. You know, at 260, this range right here, chuck comes on, it actually sounds pretty good. Now let me show you the bad. So now if I spin it around until I'm in this range right here, 154 to 440, and let's see, let's put it, so here's 154 to 440, and then let's go to 220. So if we're at 220 RPM, listen to this. Can you hear that? Sounds freaking horrible. And all these gears right here in this range are the same way. So, but if I go to any other gears, like if I go to the higher gears here, like 630 to 1800, it sounds fine. So let's go to, this is 630. Sounds totally fine. Running great, sounds fine. So I think I have to dig deeper on that. I have to pull this cover off here, get in there. I don't think it's like a gear tooth or anything. I think maybe it's just not locking into that position all the way. So we'll get into here and check that out. No luck on the DRO, still haven't got that to come back on. So now let me tell you how much I got in this machine. With shipping, auction fees, everything to the door, I'm into this $4,000. I buy a lot of CNC machines that don't cost this much. Like I said, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna do some machining with it. I'm gonna try to fix the DRO. I'm gonna try to fix this gear. Update time. I was able to contact Accurite, and they were actually pretty cool, but they said that they don't, of course, service this model anymore. So what they did was they did send me, it's called a cable ribbon reset. And basically you take this screen off right here, and there's a cable in the back. You pull it out, stick it back in, it resets it, and it did kind of work. Let me show you. So now every time I power it off and power it on, I get the same thing, but the clear does work. So then it says the recall position, you basically got to jog it around, which I just did, and you can see I got this working. So I got the X-axis working. It actually works really, really good. The Z-axis does not work, and I looked in the back and the scale is actually broken. So the problem is, to buy that one scale for the Z-axis from Accurite is probably more than to just buy a whole new aftermarket DRO. That's some of the problems you come across buying blindly from an auction. So let me get this cover tore off and let's look down in the gears and see what we see. I went through and checked all the gear teeth. There's nothing chipped on any of the gear teeth. I actually took a bar and kind of pried up on the shafts a little bit to see if there's anything wiggling. Nothing's wiggling. I tried to move it in and out of kind of the gear location to see if maybe it was in the wrong location or something was kind of adjusted wrong. All that did absolutely nothing. The conclusion I came up with is it's probably like one of the carrier bearings that's inside of there where the shaft rides. It's probably worn, and when I shift into that gear, that is the only gear range where when I shift into it, the little gear has to contact the big gear of the spindle. So that's the only gear range that happens, which is the main gear range that you use on this machine. So I imagine that carrier bearing's worn. I'm not gonna get into tearing all that apart in this video. So for now, let's put it into a higher gear, like 600 RPMs that doesn't have that noise. And at least let's maybe test some tolerance out, see if it takes some good cuts and see what we got with that. Because at this point in the process, I'm pretty disappointed. So let's get into another gear range here. This 630, I'll put it at 630 as my run speed here. And I've got the feeds dialed down as far as I can get them on. Let's test the power feeds out, make sure everything works good with that. See, that's 630 RPM. Sounds great. So let's see, this is the power, this is to engage the half nut here. And then this lever is for feeding this way or this way. So right now it's in the Z direction. Let's see, if you hold it, it should grab. There it goes. Engages pretty good. Even though that's the lowest setting, it's still a little bit fast. And I don't know if there's a way that I can dial that down anymore or not, but for now I guess it'll work. So then let's go here. This is gonna be feeding that direction. And it is locked in, but you can't feed it. Go into neutral. That's neutral position. Spins. That's that direction. Nothing. So the x-axis feed is broken. So for now, we at least have the z-axis that's working. All right, so just as a test, let's do this. Let's manually do the cut without the DRO. I measured the stock and I've got 1.9875. And I'm on the 0 line here. I'm on the 0.040. Let's just go in. Halfway is gonna be about 5 thousandths. So we should go in 5 thousandths. We take this cut, we should be able to take 5 thousandths off that number. That might actually be 5 thou, I don't know. All right, let's do the measurement. Okay, so we had 1.987. Now we've got 1.979. So if we subtract that, 1.979, that gives us 8 thou that we took off on that pass. So my calipers aren't the greatest, and the calipers I'm using for that measurement aren't the best way to do that anyway. So I'd say it's in a ballpark, you know. Can you take a thou off? Probably. You can skim a thou off here and there. I think it would be pretty accurate and pretty good. So it does hold some pretty good tolerance, and that's steel too, and I'm, you know, taking 5 thou depth of cut. So in that aspect, I think that's pretty good. So I don't think I need to go any further with this thing in the video. It's obvious it needs a lot of work. Let's summarize what a POS this is. Issue 1, there's something majorly wrong inside this headstock, I think. Regardless for what I paid for it, there shouldn't be anything wrong with it. If you guys might know what the problem is inside there, leave a comment below. I need all the help I can get. I'm not a manual machine guy, because obviously I'm gonna have to come out of pocket to fix that. Issue 2, the DRO is straight trash. The Z part of it's broken, gonna have to replace it. Doesn't register correct tolerances, just a straight piece of crap. Issue 3, the x-axis power feed doesn't work. I'm gonna have to tear into that. It's time, it's money. Who knows what that can be? Again, I'm not a manual machine guy. If you guys know anything about that, leave it in the comments below. So the reason I decided to actually post this video instead of just erasing it and never letting it see light of day, I want to show you guys my losses and my wins. I don't take a lot of losses too often, but this is a major, 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 major loss for me, because if it was a CNC machine, like I said, I would know how to fix it, and I'm usually into those cheap enough to where if something's wrong, it's worth fixing it. I went all in on this one. I was like, let me spend more money. I'll have to do less work. I'll make a little less profit, but it'll be a faster turnaround. Wrong. Totally wrong. Don't go into bidding at auctions thinking that. That's a total wrong mindset to have if you're buying anything from auction. This is another reason I don't purchase from auctions a lot unless I go there in person, see the machines, check them out for myself. So what do you guys think about this? Was it a total fail? Will I be able to get my money back? I highly doubt it. I see these things going for like 5-6 grand online. You guys already know what I'm into this thing. Once I start dumping time and money into this thing, it's a total loss. So pretty much I'm probably just gonna keep this thing, use it how it is here and there just for knocking stuff down, and that's about it. What more can I do? I'll probably put a Chinese DRO on it. I might tear into it and try to replace those bearings if that's what the problem is. In my personal opinion, I got totally robbed on this lathe. Be very, 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 very careful when you're bidding online, especially if it's sight unseen. Well, that's about it for this one. I really appreciate you guys as usual. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like this type of content, give me a follow. Go back and check out some of my previous videos. If you want to support the channel even more, I do have custom-made beanies. That I had made that I ship out from here. Purchase one of those. It's wintertime. It's a great time to get those. See you guys on the next one.